Hello, good evening. I'm Danilo Rivas from the Valdebrón Hospital, the plastic surgery service in Barcelona, and I'm the lower limb and burn reconstruction unit. If you have any doubt or question that you ask me in private or you want to ask me in private, I will leave my email and Instagram account in the end of the presentation. We're talking about pure skin flaps. These flaps are becoming popular in the recent years. The aim is to improve the result achieving with classical flaps. All of these images are a result of classical flaps that solve a coverage problem, but produce a aesthetical and functional problem. Pure skin perforator flaps are currently the solution to many coverage problems, especially in areas where there is almost no subcutaneous tissue. For example, the distal limbs, the digits, face or neck are areas that generally require very fine flaps to avoid the need of secondary tightening or retention in surgeries. In the search of the best reconstruction, we went through different dissection plans of the flaps, starting with the classical musculocutaneous and fasciocutaneous flaps, and advanced to those that we're seeing in this slide, the thin flaps. The image shows the dissection planes for thin, the super thin, and the pure skin perforator flaps. What is a PSP flap or pure skin perforator flap? It's a flap based on one or several perforators that reach the skin directly, enter into the dermis. The main benefit of this flap is that it's very thin and does not need secondary surgeries. They behave like a flap, can be used in any bed and even if it's not vascularized. Before we talking about the surgical technique, we have to say that for the success of any flap, planning is essential. In the case of PSP flap, this is even more important as dissection is quite difficult if we don't see where the perforator enters to the skin. My personal opinion is that ultrasound is a super important tool today for any reconstructive surgeon, and even more in the planification of this type of flaps, which are generally small and the perforator should be centered. In this video, I show the perforator goes through the deep fascia. Here, then pass to the superficial fascia and enters finally into the dermis in the skin. To get this image, you don't require any advancement equipment. With an ultrasound of 15 megahertz is enough. The surgery is done under the magnification of the microscope, and I do it with the Bowie, with a fine tip and very low energy, cutting and coagulation at 7. Once the perforator has been identified, subdermal dissection is performed as explained by Takumi Yamamoto in his paper in 2021. Under the principle of the cold and hot zone, Once we reach the perforator, we follow it from distal to proximal until we have the necessary pedicle length, or we feel comfortable with the caliber of the vessels to make the anastomosis. These videos are not mine, they're from Dr. Yamamoto. In the first video, you see the elevation plane of the flap just below the dermis. And in the second, he showed us how the section of the vessels goes from distal to proximal. Here I'm gonna present you a 13 years old patient who have a scar retraction inflection of the fingers. To solve this problem, we made a pure skin perforator flaps with 2 skin paddles from the groin and have been anastomosed to the collateral digital artery and vein of the index finger. After 1 month, the secondary surgery was performed to separate the fingers. Here I show the results 3 months after surgery with joint balance and perfect mobility. The scar in the donor area is pretty good and it's hiding. And in conclusions, in my experience, the subdermal elevation technique of the seat flap is a safe technique that helps us to reduce morbidity in the donor area, as well as improve the aesthetical functional results in the recipient area, avoiding the need of secondary surgeries.
Thank you, Danilo.
Thank you. Oh.
Let me see if there are questions. No questions. So, Danilo, what is your let's say what areas to resurface you for what areas do you use this flap? I know you are using for digits. Are you using also for the eyes, right?
Yes. I use this type of flap for do faces, digits, and upper limb, hands, and foot.
Also the foot. And regarding the hand, the pulp, also for the pulp, right? You are
yeah.
So for us, it is doing pulp transfer from the toes to the hand. It has finished, right? This is the past.
I don't know if it the best indication, because the pulp of the foot have the nerve, and you can do it sensitive. In the pure skin perforator flap, you probably could put a nerve in the flap, but I don't know if it's going to be sensitive. Will have the same sensation that they have the pulp in the foot.
Danilo, you are doing the dissection with the Colorado tip.
Yeah, with the bobby.
This with the bobby. This is because you learn from Yamamoto, or is your or you discover it by yourself? You do like this because you switch to Yamamoto, or is your own contribution?
I think a lot of plastic surgeons use the fine tip to do the dissection of the flaps, because you have like the more clean field, because there are not blood in the field, and it's easier to see the vessels.
So you mean for every flap?
Yeah.
So in the PSP, you use a you put it at 7 millivolts, right? 7.
Yes.
And for bigger flaps?
For bigger flaps, I use it like 20 or 15, more or less.
Okay. Any questions from the faculty?
Well, there's a question. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Yeah, sorry, I was just like, the advantage of this in our overweight, obese population is, it's got great potential, because it's a really big problem when you try to resurface areas where you don't have a skinny donor site. Do you find in that setting where they've got a thick layer of adipose that you're getting that subdermal plane is still feasible? To me, that would be pretty difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult in the beginning, because you have to search the best perforator and follow it from distal to proximal, and it's a small one. But when you have practice with the small vessels, is more easy, and it's not that complicated, because you use the microscope to do the dissection, and it's not that difficult.
And so do you center, you identify your perforator that's hitting the dermis with your ultrasound, and that's what in the middle, you put that in the middle of your skin paddle.
Yes.
You design your skin front and start lifting it from the edge until you find that perforator, and then
yes.
Down.
Yes.
I think there's a question about other donor areas apart from the groin. Have you used it anywhere else?
I don't use any other donor area, but in Yamamoto's paper, he used the DF flap, and I think the LT too. But when I talked with him, he told me that it's more difficult to do it because the perforators not arrive strictly to the skin, and it's more difficult for I never tried it.
And any Danilo, any other potential regions that you want to try to do these PSP flaps?
I think that the best indication is in the burn sequel of the hand. I think is the best indication of this type of flaps, because we have like very bad scars in the hands, and we can move the flaps of a scar and have
Danilo?
Yeah,
sorry. The question was, are you planning to do a PSP from another place?
I don't know. The groin flap is, I think, is a very good donor area for this type of flap. You can the scar in the donor area is almost imperceptible, and it's an easy flap. I think it's a good one. I don't think to change it.
Danilo, can I just ask a question? In the photo, in your presentation, the of the hand flap, you had they look a little congested. The flaps, when they were raised, they looked a little. Do you have any problems with venous drainage with this?
Yes.
Was it just congested because the flap had retracted, and when you stretched it back out, it was all perfect again?
With the venous drainage, you have to know which venous system is dominant in the flap. Probably the majority of the flaps, the superficial system is the dominant, but we don't see it until you have raised the flap. And in all my flaps, I include both of the systems, the venous drainage systems, and do probably 2 or 3 venous anastomosis to avoid the venous congestion.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
I think much more courageous microsurgeon than me, I think.
Okay, I think that
You're breaking up a bit, Cisco.
Yana, are you there? I wanted him to tell us about the program in February anyway. So Danilo, the way to the future.
Danilo. Thank you so much for that. Cesco, I have the list for February, if you want. That seems to be.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have Peter Kundi from Australia talking about casting, remodeling, and return to sports. Oh, there he is. Do you want to, let me unmute him.
Yeah, we would have Maria Sokolovsky from Argentina to tell about brain plasticity, and Peter Kundi from Adelaide, Australia to talk about return to sports and remodeling and casting of upper extremity fractures in children. And then Petra Gran from Finland to talk about a new technique to release